Hey everyone, this is Maria from bemisreviewsbooks.com and welcome to December's 2016 book chat. So this is the place where I briefly discuss my latest reviews, which are now posted on my blog, and also discuss what I am currently reading. I also wanted to mention that I post across several different social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and what I'm going to do this time around is include the links to each of those places in the notes. And if you're interested, you can take a look at those places and check me out there. Also, Medium. Medium is another place that I also post reviews, so that would be medium.com. And again, I'm going to post everything in the notes. So again, if you're interested in taking a look, you can do so. And that's about it. I am ready to talk books. So hope everyone's having a great holiday since we're in the full swing of the holiday season, and it's bearing down fast. Just a few days left until Christmas, and I wanted to get this up a little bit sooner, but again, for the past 2 months with the holidays, I've been lagging a little bit behind. So let's get on to the books. Okay, I have great news. This is fantastic. I have finally finished Paradigm Falls. And I'm really glad that I picked up this book. It did take me a few months to get through. It is a deep philosophical niche read. So I know that this book is not going to be for everyone. And if you look across different review sites, I found hardly any reviews on this book. In fact, I think I only found one. Across Amazon and Goodreads, the major outlets for reviews, for book reviews. So this is not a book that has gotten a lot of reach. But anyway, Paradigm Falls by Brian Galloway. It's basically Galloway myth busts our most common perceptions, ideas, and misconceptions regarding our belief system or our paradigms. He uses both philosophy and science as his mediums, and he does this very thorough deep dive into the rationale of truth and perception, or truth versus perception, and what, he basically breaks down the definition of what truth is, what perception is, how we often mix them up. So often what we think is truth is actually perception. And he goes very deep into how our belief systems are first created, how thoughts or ideas are downloaded onto us by those who are around us at the time, which usually are our caregivers, our parents, our caregivers, siblings, the people that we see, that we are around the most. So this book is kind of, it reads almost poetically. It's a widely meandering journey, if you will. And it is quite long, quite involved, but very interesting. So I would say that if you are into philosophy, check this book out. You may really find some gems here. And again, he talks a lot about institutions and the institutions such as the media and education and government, and how these ideas that things are the way they are really not based in reality or science, but they're actually constructs. They're ideas that we have been fed, and we just take them for truth. So I love this book. I thought this was a great read. I'm recommending it. And again, I know that it's not for everyone. So just please, keep that in mind if you do pick this book up. And, even if you skip around and maybe read certain parts, you may find that you get something really good and concrete out of it to take away. All right. Next book up on the list is, let's see, I'm going to scroll down on my computer here. I'm going to go with The Couple Next Door. This is a book that I briefly discussed while I was still reading it on last month's book chat. And I actually really love this book. This is actually a debut novel by Shari Lapena. Now, she has written before, but this is her suspense debut. So I cannot recall off the top of my head what book she has written before this, but it was a different, I believe it was a different genre altogether. So The Couple Next Door centers on an infant kidnapping. While the parents of a 6-month-old baby are next door attending a dinner party. This dinner party is being thrown by a childless couple. So apparently it wasn't a kid-friendly venue. And at the last minute, their babysitter canceled. So the husband convinces the wife that they're just going to be next door and they'll bring the baby monitor and everything will be fine. Well, it's not fine. The baby's kidnapped. And basically from there, the story takes a lot of twists and turns. It's a lot of action. There's many things going on. The police questioning never lets up. So you're going to move very quickly through this book. The parents, Marco and Anne Conti, are the prime suspects. And basically, we find out that each of the parents has some very deep, dark secrets that they are keeping from each other. So that's all I'm going to say about that. It is a very entertaining read. I do believe that you will figure out the plot twists before they are revealed, but that doesn't detract from how entertaining this book is. So definitely pick this one up. You will get through it in no time at all. It's very entertaining. It's a lot of story. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of storylines. However, Lapena does a really good job in wrapping everything up at the end. So she doesn't leave loose ends or loose threads, which is kind of a hard thing to accomplish with everything she's got going on in this book. So kudos to this one. This was an enjoyable read. All right, next up on the list, we have Real Food, Fake Food. We're going to switch genres right now and go into Real Food, Fake Food by Larry Olmstead. Olmstead is a investigative journalist. He's a food journalist, and basically this is all about food fakery and how we don't have governmental protections and regulations against a lot of the fakery that goes on. And basically what he does is chapter by chapter, he highlights a different food. So there's cheese, there's wine, there's seafood, which is a complete train wreck. It'll make you never want to eat seafood again once you read that chapter. It's not a comfortable read. It's a little bit on the depressing side. If this is your first foray into the world of food fraud and food fakery and what really goes on with our food system, you may wonder, what the heck can I eat? However, I always believe that it's better to know as opposed to not know. So, like I said, every chapter covers a specific food: cheese, wine, beef, olive oil. Olmstead then gets up close and personal with each of these foods. He talks about, the ones that hail from specific parts of the world. He outlines the subtle and not so subtle nuances that make them special. He calls out the imposter. He even names names, which I absolutely love. What are we protecting these people for? Who aren't on the up and up and who fool the public into handing over their money for something that is not real, or for, a fake product. I wholeheartedly believe that we need more call out in the area of fakery. And he ends each chapter with steps that the consumer can take to better ensure that they are indeed getting the real deal, depending on what that food is. So very informative. I highly recommend this to everyone because everyone eats. I think this is one of those books that we should all read. So that is Real Food, Fake Food by Larry Olmstead. We're victims of food. I could be wrong, but I'm not. Okay, next up, Truly, Madly, Guilty by Liane Moriarty. I have read several of Liane's books, and I haven't gotten through all of them. That is actually on my 2017 goal list or book read list, to get through all of her books, because there's a couple in there that I haven't gotten to yet, and I love her. I love her work. I love the way she writes. I find every book that I have read, I think I've read maybe 3 or 4 of her books, wildly entertaining and very, very well written. They are extremely popular books. In fact, I think that this book was the fiction winner for Goodreads 2016 Best Books. I think this was the winner. So extremely popular. If you haven't read it, get your hands on a copy. It's a great read. Basically, the whole book begs the question, what the hell happened at that innocuous neighborly backyard barbecue. There's an event that takes place, and the book keeps looping back to that day, but the buildup is very slow. And by slow, I don't mean tedious, oh my God, just get to it already. I mean really exciting, like you're gonna want to stick through it. You're not gonna want to put the book down, in other words. So the complexity of female friendship is a topic that I find endlessly fascinating, and Moriarty, this is the topic, or one of the main topics in this book, and Moriarty's command of this topic is amazing. She does a great job. It's a central theme of the book. I think she does a great job in outlining the friendship between the two main protagonists, Erica and Clementine. And there's a whole plethora of issues that come up. There's female friendships, there's parenting, there's judgment on parenting styles, there is marital relations. All of it kind of comes into play in this amazing story that takes place around this backyard barbecue. Something happened, something monumental and life-changing. And each of the characters, there's a line between before that event and then afterwards. So you're wondering what possibly could have happened. And then you find out. And it's a great tale. It's woven together very well. The characters are very engaging. They're real. They're interesting. They're very different. Lots of food for thought. Again, told in that format that keeps revisiting that one day everything changed. And then finally you have a full story that is shown from all its different angles, almost like a prism. And it just takes you up right to the very end. It's kind of a satisfaction guaranteed tale. So I think that this one you're really going to enjoy. I think I've gone on and on about it enough. So that is it for my reviews. So those are the latest ones that are posted. And what am I reading right now? Okay. Next up, Things We Lost in the Fire by Mariana Enriquez. This is a collection of short stories, very gruesome, very macabre, but told from a perspective that is not my own. So I find it absolutely fascinating and riveting. I think that this is the first I've ever read any of her work, and I'm really glad that I picked this one up. It's actually been on my list for a while. So I'm in the process of reading that. I'm also reading a book called Making Local Food Work. This one hasn't gotten a lot of press, and I don't think that many people know about this book. This book is by Randi Janssen, who is an investigative journalist. She's actually grown up on a farm. This is all about the Iowa farming system. And by farming system, I mean big agri, organic, local. So she takes all of the different systems and she reports on all of them. And she actually she grew up on her farm herself, but she's also, for her research, she's actually gone to different farms and she's actually worked on them. So it's all about food production from not just the consumer standpoint, but from the agricultural standpoint of the farmer and what it takes to bring food to market, what it takes to bring your food to that farmer's market that you may attend every week, or what it takes to get a CSA up and running and keep it going. All of the problems that the consumer would never even think of. She talks about a school lunch program and getting local food to replace the larger industrial system that was already in place, and how people I love the idea myself, but what you don't realize, or what we don't realize, is there are so many things that go into play to making it work. It's really fascinating, and she does a great job on this book. And I recommend, if you're interested in knowing where your food comes from, or you find that important, if you find knowing where your food comes from, or being involved in your food, or more involved than just going to the store and picking things off a shelf, I think that you're going to really enjoy this book. This is a really good one. I'm learning a lot. It's very educational. Okay, next up, I'm reading another Harlan Coben. This is the latest, I believe, Fool Me Once. And what can I say about Harlan Coben? He's awesome. He's the best. I love it. I will read anything that he puts out at any time. So this particular book is about a military soldier who she's suffering from PTSD. It's a woman. Her husband was recently murdered. And before that, not long before that, just a few months, her sister was murdered. And she just found out that the murders are linked, that there's a connection. And she is trying to uncover what happened. In the meantime, through a nanny cam, she has a very young daughter, she sees a video of her husband after he died on the video. And we're waiting for the explanation as to whether or not her husband is still alive. So lots of suspense, lots of mystery, classic Harlan Coben. I don't know what's going on. I cannot wait to get through the book, but then again, I can because it's going to be over and I'm going to miss it. Okay. Lily and the Octopus. Oh, and also, I do have some visuals. I always forget the visuals because I don't always have them. Okay, so here we go. Harlan Coben, Fool Me Once. Next book up, Lily and the Octopus by Stephen Rowley, or Rowley. This is a tearjerker. Okay, this is about a man in his 40s. He's single. He lives alone. We know that he has gone through a traumatic breakup, and he is trying to, I think, figure out his place in his life and where his life is going. In the meantime, he has this adorable dachshund. He's very attached to his pet, and I'm sure that many people can understand that and relate to that, and I know that I certainly can. And there's a tumor that's growing on the dog's head. He calls it the octopus. So the octopus refers to this tumor, and this is all about mourning a pet and knowing that this pet is this dog is probably going to die sometime soon, and he's going through the stages of grief, and it is it's really beautiful the way it's told. His love for his pet, the dog actually, the author has ascribed verbalization or speech to the dog. So the dog actually talks throughout the book. But it's not cheesy or weird. It's actually done in a very tasteful and really relatable way. And I think it's, it's definitely something that gets you right here, because it's about knowing that, when we take on the responsibility of having a pet, we take on that knowing that one day that pet's going to die and it's going to leave us. And this is what that book is all about. And I'm really glad that I picked it up. It's sad, but it's definitely worth your time. So that's also what I'm reading now. I'm about halfway through. Last book up, I actually haven't started this yet, so I was debating whether or not to bring it up, but I've been wanting to read The Girls by Emma Cline, and I haven't actually cracked it open yet, but this is actually the next one up on my list. So hopefully by next month's book chat, I will have this read and reviewed as well, so we can talk about that. In the meantime, that's all I have. Hope everyone has a great holiday. Enjoy, and I will be back next month with 2017's first book chat of the year. So take care, everybody, and have a great holiday season. Bye-bye.